Hello.
Hi.
We're back.
We are back.
Another episode of REELtalk.
Another episode of REELtalk.
If you guys missed it last week, this is basically a special edition of RAWtalk.
A very special edition.
Very special.
Yes.
When Dad is away, Todd and I, we basically will discuss video features and what we call REELtalk. So It's kind of like a one-off special edition, again, of RAWtalk. It'll happen every now and then, only when Jared's away.
Yeah.
He's away again. He's in Kentucky, doing another personal project this week.
Yep.
So we're here to play around again.
Yeah, it was good last week. I mean, positive feedback. I think
very positive feedback.
I think people liked it.
I wish the views were a little more, but
you should have everybody should have watched it like 3 times.
Probably
if you really like
10
us,
times.
Watch it like 20 times. Just have it play in the background.
Just repeat
all the time.
Maybe like open your laptop, your cell phone, your computer, like everything. Just play them all.
Because like you said, we're only going to do it when Jared's away.
Yeah, I mean this will probably be the last one for quite some time.
Unless we figure out a way to do it on the weekends, but that's tough.
Yeah, maybe one day we'll try and
we'll have to start a Patreon
that.
So we can get that money.
We totally should. Anyway, today's show we're going to recap where you've been. You've been away for a couple of
Jared's
days
away,
as well.
So I've been away. Yep.
And we're going to get into our college video projects, which are pretty bad. At least
stunning.
Mine are.
Yeah, I mean,
you crushed.
We're
Obviously.
going to definitely have to give a little background, like why we did each one of these projects. But they're specific projects done during our college days,
different time periods.
Which is so funny though, because when you look at them, they're both terrible in the same way.
They really are.
Almost identically terrible in the same way.
You had more fun projects though, at least to work on. We'll get into that.
We'll
later,
get into that.
Yeah. And then we have a Q&A session. So guys, stick around again toward the end. Probably last, 20, maybe 30 minutes. Who knows?
Yep.
Last week, the episode ended up being almost 2 hours long. Hopefully this week we keep it to like hour and a half, whatever. It doesn't
and don't
matter.
forget, we're going to throw in news in the midst of all that as well. So just a little bit of news, nothing major, but
sprinkled.
Stuff video and editing related.
So anyway, where have you been, Todd?
Well, I had to take a little trip out to Los Angeles, like last minute.
Hollywood?
Actually, yeah, my buddy lives in Hollywood. My producer buddy, Mike, lives in Hollywood.
This is a last minute trip, yeah.
It's totally last minute, but it was to go meet an actor. So last week, an actor read my script, liked it, wanted to meet. That's always a positive sign. So
this is for your movie.
It's for my movie. And the movie's called Adultland. If you want to keep track of it, adultlandmovie.com. And I believe, same thing, at Adultland Movie, Instagram.
Dan should have text of that.
Twitter, I don't know. Facebook. I think I have
social
a Facebook.
Media galore.
I'm pretty sure I have it across the board. Anyway, somebody actually reads it, wants to meet with the director. That's usually always a positive sign. So,
so you felt that you had to go all the way out to Hollywood just to meet with this actor face to face?
I could have either met him before Wednesday, or I would have had to met him in Atlanta later because he's shooting something in Atlanta. Like
how much later?
Like the next week, but into Christmas and all that. And I was like, you know what? The way I'm trying to get things cooking, I was like, I need to go right now while, the iron's hot, as they would say. And so that's what frequent flyer miles are for.
True.
And I headed on out.
You didn't feel that a phone call or a Skype call or something like that?
Something like that. I feel like you've got to sit down with people. I look people in the eye and just kind of let them know like where you're coming from. I mean, you don't get a vibe from somebody via text, via email, or even Skype and all that, because Skype is almost just like, But when we basically met at a coffee spot, I've done this a couple times with some actors. Meet at a very public place to make sure I don't murder people, not too murdery.
Was this a quick conversation? Was this like half a day?
No, it was maybe a half an hour. Because he was in the midst of moving, doing some stuff. So, or at least I feel like everybody has an excuse. Like, yeah, man, I can only be real quick. I got to do, I got to build a spaceship. Oh yeah, man, I understand if you got to go.
So random.
So but anyways, I went out to do that. I did that. It went really well. And next steps after that is just to see if everybody can play nice. It's one thing to sit down as a writer, director, creative, sit down with an actor at this level, you guys can be so excited about it. Yay, let's jump around. We're so excited.
Yeah.
And then managers and lawyers and, money people got to get involved, and they have to be like, is this a good fit for everybody involved?
It's such a long process,
man. It's rough, man, because it's, and that's the thing. You might be a writer or a director, and you're like, yeah, man, I have this story. I am such a cool storyteller. But no, you have to be a politician. You have to be super patient. You have to, understand people's business angles, like why we have to get somebody of this caliber or somebody of that caliber to help sell the film, maybe pre-sell it, maybe for overseas, like all these things that I don't really know a lot about.
Yeah, I mean, you care about the film itself.
I care about the story,
obviously.
But I get it broken down to me at least once a week. Like, Todd, we got to consider this. Like, okay. So that went awesome. So again, that's a waiting game.
So what would you say, like a standard length of a film? Like 2 years, 4 years, like the process, the overall process of making a feature film.
I bet you I started writing this 5 years ago at least.
For you?
At least 5 years ago.
What would you say?
At least 5 years ago.
What would you say the norm is for like Hollywood? That's got to be.
I don't know, man. I mean, there's films now. I mean, you watch. I love special feature Blu-rays. People all the time are like, yeah, it took me like 5 years to get this off the ground. It took me like 10. I mean, look. I
know, like Avatar.
Like
took
Superbad.
forever.
We always love Superbad.
Yeah.
So
I saw you went to the liquor store,
which I did,
dude.
Yeah. I should have brought the picture in. It's on my Instagram. It's on my Instagram. No, it's on my Instagram story,
which is not there anymore.
I'll post it on Facebook. On my Facebook.
Todd went to the Superbad liquor store where they basically go.
And Jared was like, "No, it's not." I'm like, "No, it is."
It definitely was.
But they replaced the sign with like a fancy sign, and then I was arguing with Mike. I was like, "But where's the little booth?" The little yellow booth that's by the car where the guy backs into him, because there's like a little booth, and I was like, "Is that a photo booth?" No, I looked back up on the video, and it
different
is
location.
No, same location. It is the location, because I was giving Mike some crap about it, because I was like, "I don't know if this is it, man." And then we looked up, and it was a locksmith, like in one of those old metal photo huts,
like photo hut.
Yeah. But it was a locksmith.
That's so random.
But it wasn't there anymore now. This was shot how long ago? 5, 6, 8 years ago.
No, 10 years ago.
10 years. So
more than that. 12 when it was probably
but
shot.
But when he pulled up and he's like, "Yeah, here's the liquor store from Superbad," and I was like, "Oh!" And as soon as I saw it, I was like, "Holy crap, it is!" Like it just is.
That's awesome.
But then I had to double check. But anyways,
easily, by the way, guys, Superbad is like top 5.
I love them
between me, Todd, Jared, Dan, all of us. We love it.
And the funny thing about top 5 is that it's on my I don't even know where I was.
So yeah, you're back.
We were talking about Superbad. That taking 10 years.
Yeah.
Like they wrote that in high school.
Okay.
And it took them forever to get that made, because they were like, nobody's going to make this movie. It's so raunchy. It's so bad. Adultland, with it taking place in an adult video store, is not your like easy sell.
Sure. Especially these days.
And especially in this time, in this climate.
Yeah.
When I was out there, I tried to kill multiple birds with one stone. I met with the actor, but then I met with another producer, agent, player out there, and we had a long discussion about that. And he actually thinks like the movie's more relevant now because of like the topic, like people being kind of like
too PC type
so
thing.
Weird, not even PC, just the conversation about sex and power and love and just like where people's heads get kind of messed up that in the middle of all that. And then so I did that, met with another producer, like I said, and then met with my casting director, who is an angel. She loves the script, and she helps so helpful finding really, really cool people. There's so many cool people I can't really talk about, but that are kind of the stars are lining up, the pieces are falling into place. It all depends on the lead.
How does a casting director? How do they work? Do you just basically tell them to describe the role, and they literally will go through whittle, narrow it down to the best 5 people for that
in this particular
role,
case, she's gonna take into consideration the budget.
Sure.
Low budget.
I mean, it's you, so very low.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like garbage budget.
Like $2, yeah.
Exactly. I'm worth like 50 cents. But takes that into she'll read it. She decides if she wants to take it on. And then, once you get past all that, she knows how much money there is to spend on the cast. She knows like what it's about. She likes it, or he, but in this instance, it's she. And then we had a long conversation. Like we decided budget-wise, she was going to cast the 6 of the main actors. It's an ensemble cast. And then we just literally talked through each and every one.
Very cool.
And I would say like, Calvin's the lead character. Calvin should be this type, and this person should be this type. And I might give an example of an actor or a role somebody played. It should be like kind of like that.
Try and fit that. Yeah,
and I literally
mold.
found like pictures and just kind of put like pictures of 6 people and like different things, like height, things. I want to play. I want not specific, but
generally
height
you want to
ranges
get there
because I want to have kind of people stacked.
Okay.
And then literally she would send me like 50 names, 100 names for each
so
one.
Much to think about, man.
And then
just
I would Google everybody, and I would go through, and I'd be like, nope, yes, nope, and I'd be like, ooh, no, but good for this role, and I'd move.
It's like picking your selects with photography. It's like, I love that photo, but this one's better. And
then you got to consider like, oh, that's a great name. There's no way they'll do this. You know what I mean? Because I'll bring things up. They're like, yeah. She's like, great idea, Todd. Really good idea.
But it's not
really
in the
good idea. They'll never do this movie. Okay, sorry.
Robert Downey Jr. Yeah, no.
Love him. Really like him. Great idea.
Would never
Get him out of
it.
your mind. But anyway, we met with her. Amazing. Super awesome. The last thing I wanted to talk about, though, and I only got to see one of these places, though, but Mike had me tour the color correction facility.
Oh, wow.
While I was out there. And this place is called Headquarters. There's also the sound mixing facility that's called Monkeyland. We did not get to go there. But the Headquarters facility, the owner gave us a tour. And, dude...
Is this like the standard in Hollywood?
Well, it's got
when it comes to
tons of rooms.
A lot of people use this facility.
Tons of rooms. You know, you'll sit in the couch in the back. Just like a room.
I think of the Cannon Burbank facility when we toured that.
Then there's the
Hollywood
screening room.
Like a 4K projector.
Big. It's like a movie.
Like a movie theater.
Like a movie theater. You sit. They're like at the little desk behind you, like Star Trek, like at the board.
Yeah.
And they do their magic. And I was just like, and they had snacks on the tables, and I was like,
got my popcorn.
I would really
my
love
soda.
I mean, to me, that's just, you know, if you're at the finish line at that point where you're at color correction, it would be so exciting to sit there and you already know I hate color correction. I hate
where I'm
color
the opposite.
Correction.
I love it.
I love it having been done.
Sure.
I don't like to physically do it.
Yeah.
So I try to avoid it at all costs. So that was that, and then you know, did a little touristy stuff. Mike would, you know, in between meetings, Mike would drive me around like, there's CAA, there's Universal, there's the Sony lot, I mean, he's in the midst of all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, he
lives
walk
there,
out
right?
his door and literally like on the next block, you look up the street and there's the Hollywood sign.
Wow.
So he's right in the thick of it. And again, I was couch surfing for a couple of days, but it was awesome. I mean, it was a good experience, knock on wood. So hopefully there'll be good news in the future on Adultland, and that is
closer and closer.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
Yep.
So we have a bunch of news we want to bring up this episode too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of industry news, mainly video that we're talking about, video editing.
Yep.
The whole Disney thing, buying Fox. We want to talk about that.
Yep.
You had some stuff about Final Cut that you wanted to bring up, right?
Well, just recently, Final Cut updated.
Yes.
And
I think they updated because of the new iMac Pro announcement / release.
I would assume so.
I would assume it goes hand in hand.
Yeah, I mean, they love to always, whenever there's a big release in terms of like computer power, they like to throw more at it. And me just glancing over the notes, I haven't like tested any of this stuff yet. But the biggest things, my takeaways are now you got the 360 VR editing built into it, that you can actually plug a VR headset into it. And so you got all that stuff getting into that VR 360
And I know
realm.
Premiere has a lot of that too. Honestly, I have no idea how half of that works.
I have no idea how it works.
We don't use VR at all, and we don't need it.
And I don't think I can connect my VR setup to...
Because you have that PlayStation.
I have PlayStation VR, but I don't think I can hook it into a Mac.
What's
at
like
all.
the connector for the actual headset? Is it like a PlayStation?
There's multiple things. I
haven't played a video
There's
game
an
forever.
HDMI in and out that goes into this box, and then there's a like a USB thing that kind of goes between like all. I mean, there's a bunch of different connections all around.
You'd think it would just plug right in and you'd be able to do it, right?
I guess. I don't know. But then there's like 2 HDMIs that go into it. So maybe it's for each eye. I don't know.
It's
I don't know
probably
how
each
it
eye,
works,
right?
but yeah. But anyways, that's how. And you know, it's got. I see like it's just all 360 VR. The one main thing.
Okay.
Advanced color grading. They did some stuff there. And again, my eyes glossed over as soon as I saw that because I don't care about color correction.
Or I'd go right into that section and read every little thing about it. Because I always read loving the changelog and the notes for
use of
each update.
eyedropper, huge color curve, power, new color wheel. I'm sure I'll dig into this at some point, but you know. Color's always important, even though I hate it.
And you do zero of it.
Exactly. Now they do have HDR stuff in this release. I won't get into
I
too
know
much
that
of that stuff.
Like the new Sony A7R Mark III has the HLG log profile, which is supposed to be like HDR support. It's supposed to be truer highlights.
And that's what a lot of these
shadows
updates generally do. They generally
you also still need an
relate to all
HDR
that
monitor too, and there's just so much that goes into all of that. And a lot of
which
the TVs,
I wonder if the new iMac Is that an HDR monitor?
I have no idea.
Because I feel like if they're selling this,
Yeah.
like, hey, it's HDR.
Probably,
Our computer does HDR too.
A lot of the TVs these days, I mean, it's still SDR. So I think it's going to be a couple years down the road, just like how 4K took, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years.
I still don't have a 4K TV at home.
I still don't either.
Yeah.
Everything that I stream is either 1080 or cable's obviously still like 720 that they're broadcasting in.
Yep.
Which it still shocks me that they haven't even stepped up to 1080.
Yeah.
And if I do watch something from my laptop, I'll just directly plug in or AirPlay it or something like that.
Yeah.
Or Chromecast
and
it.
It's shocking how much people watch on their phones at the end of the day. Because if you look at the analytics on the back end on YouTube, you can see where people are watching. And when I see like 70% of people are watching on their phones, I'm just like, why am I worried about 4K?
And dude, I find myself on my phone, no matter, even if I'm on like the regular cell connection, the LTE, I'll still switch the quality always first thing when I watch a video to like the highest, like 1440 or 4K or whatever, even though the phone like
resolution diva.
Like you can't even tell like from 480 to 1440. It looks the same.
You change it and you're like, that's exactly the same.
But in my head, I'm like, okay, now I'm watching
best
a better
resolution.
Yeah.
I gotta have the best.
Yeah.
Finally, these are just like minor little things that I noticed. One of the big things that jumped out at me was input your iMovie project.
That's
directly
cool.
into Final Cut, which.
So
some of these projects we're going to show from college, I know for a fact, like
they were iMovie.
Well, no, I didn't cut them originally in iMovie, but when I ripped them off the VHS tapes, I went in and tried to like clean them up for my friends. Like, hey, look how more cooler this is now.
So you capture them right into iMovie.
I did, and then I did some finessing there. But I've got stuff on iMovie from back in the day that I think would be cool to pull into Final Cut and see how shitty it was there, and then never touch it in Final Cut.
So it should seamlessly just convert the file, I guess, and then theoretically
and just the project file
pop
and all
everything
that
up.
I would assume so. So I would definitely say that if you are really new to video, really new to editing, and your starting point is iMovie,
it's not bad.
It's just good to know that project you did then, or something. Maybe you want to step it up in the middle of a project. You could move it over to Final Cut.
I will say, talking about our college video stuff coming up later in the show, a lot of those projects were edited in like Premiere Pro CS2. I don't know, like 10 years ago. And they still open flawlessly in Premiere today.
That's great.
Like, everything popped up, no issues. Even a lot of the color corrections that I did back then, which I had no idea what I was doing. I'm just slapping on like, fast color, RGB, I changing wheels.
Getting old Final Cut stuff into new Final Cut is tough.
So you can't even open an old Final Cut file into like
I think you got to do like XML stuff and all that stuff. I don't know if I've ever tried to really do like something old school, like one of my like Left Right, my first movie. I've never really tried.
That was edited in what Final Cut?
That was in 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure they have a way to just convert that simply or open it up.
But I've heard. I remember at the time there were issues, and I was like, whatever, it's done. I don't care anymore.
So the other big thing first of all, any more news?
And then beyond that, it's just your general. Different camera profiles, new cameras. It reads all this new stuff and whatever. So
we've got the new iMac Pro. They just officially put that up for pre-order, or you can order it in, I think, 6 to 8 weeks. It's shipping.
Yeah, it looks cool.
So we're looking at, for editing, the iMac Pro, and we're looking at like a 10-core option, maybe 14-core. We're still debating if it's even worth getting the higher one for video editing.
I talked to Jared about that, and my big thing is a lot of times you have to ask yourself, are the programs that you're going to be using actually written at this particular time to take advantage right now? Now, don't get me wrong. In the future, they will.
Yes. So Premiere Pro right now is only, I think, rated up to like 10 core. I think they won't utilize anything past that.
Right.
Now, 14 core, if I were to get that and then say a year or two down the road, I just want to future-proof it.
That's where I was at.
When it gets updated, I might as well have it.
That's what I was thinking.
Because we're going to buy that
Jared.
Expensive of a machine, we should make sure it lasts.
That thing will live on at least for 3 years.
I think at least. I mean, Dan's working right now on the 2013 Mac Pro, which it's pretty decked out, but that thing still kills. And it's 4 or 5 years later almost.
And I can't imagine in the space we're at now that you guys would jump into like regularly shooting 8K or 6K or anything like that.
I will say at this point we are regularly shooting 4K, though,
which is fine.
A year ago we were not.
Yeah, but I feel like shooting 4K standard is going to be a long life.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So the iMac Pros, we're looking at that 10-core configuration, probably 64 gigs of RAM, maybe 128, but it adds on a lot in terms of price. I think we're doing just a 1 terabyte SSD because a lot of my stuff will be on Thunderbolt 3. The Lacy 12 big setup, that giant tower that outputs like 3,000 megabits a second, like insane power. And then we have, what else is there? I just love the fact that it's space gray. I think that looks freaking cool.
It looks
dude.
cool.
Yeah. But that's about it. And then we're going to max out the GPU as much as possible because that, to me, is the biggest for rendering times and exporting and all of that.
Well, and I you'll hear a lot of people say stuff like, well, why don't you make a Hackintosh, make your own PC? But it's like...
So here in this facility, we're pretty much 99% Mac-based because Jared is very Mac-based. And I don't want him to try and learn PC at this point and switch everything around. So at this point, our server's Mac, everything's Mac-based at this point. I think I could build a machine that's literally half the price and just as powerful, but again, I don't want to mess with our current workflow and trying to switch things up. Well,
you've got so much free time.
I have the most free time. It's not like I have like 30 jobs to do every day.
You have so much free time. You should totally build this for Jared.
We should just do the show like all day, 24 hours a day because
you've got nothing
to do here. No. It's great.
And again, it's time is money. And I said to Jared when he was talking about it, I was like, look, at the end of the day, that thing is going to ingest and create proxies and export at an exponentially better speed than your laptop is.
My 3-4-year-old laptop at this point.
Without a doubt, that's going to make a big difference.
Even Dan's Mac Pro, which is 2 years older than that, is still way faster than my MacBook.
It's not going to necessarily change like you guys, how long it takes you guys to make decisions on edits, but then at the same time, you're not going to get like slow down and lagging and things,
for example, the recent Intel video that we did for Jared's channel, there's so many layers and graphics and rendering that I could barely even play it back in normal time with proxies and effects off. It would just lag and stutter. So with Dan's, I could play it back easily. It exports at, I don't know, like a fraction of the time that it takes for the MacBook Pro.
And I think this'll, what is that, a 6-core that Dan has? 8-core, 6-core, 8-core?
I think it's a 6.
I think it's very similar to mine. I think it's a 6-core.
It's probably similar,
and even mine right now with 4K, cutting in 1080 or doing with 4K or doing proxies, I have forgotten what it's like to have that lag, and I have 6 cores.
And you don't even do proxies, do you?
No. Yeah. I don't even do them anymore. Now, don't get me wrong. If I did like a full feature-length film, I guarantee I would push that into proxies because that's going to get messy, but nope, all good.
And guys, for anyone that is new to video, proxies are basically a smaller version, a smaller resolution, like a 720p file of your 4K file. Same clip, same everything, just much smaller, and your computer will play that back quickly for editing. I just want to bring that up. What else is there to bring up? The iMac Pro. Oh, and then the Disney news is the big thing.
Which is huge. And obviously, Disney's going to have a good weekend because the new Star Wars is coming out.
Are you seeing it tonight?
Yeah, I am.
Are you?
Yeah.
What time?
9 o'clock. I had tickets for 7:30 when I was in LA. I had tickets for 7:30. All of a sudden, I got this email from Morgan's like dance recital people, and they're like, "Yeah, we gotta practice at 7:30 or until 7:30." And I was like,
"Throw a hissy fit."
I jumped out the car on Mulholland Drive. No, I was like, dang it. So I did them on Fandango. So I got a refund, and then my wife was like, well, why don't you see if one of the next shows?
You should have sold them, man.
I just got a refund.
Yeah,
right through.
I'm just saying.
No, but then I went right on 9 p.m. At 9 p.m. tickets done, got them. I feel like the theaters, so many theaters are playing it right now. All at the same time. I feel you could probably walk in tonight.
I will say my AMC that's down the street
outside
from me,
of IMAX.
Yes.
All the nerds go IMAX, so that's going to be the tough one to get today.
Now, the AMC near me, it is sold out, dude, 24/7. Like, all the time, parking lot full. It's got the nice, like, lounge chairs and everything, so it's really nice. I kind of wish they sold alcohol on top of that, but they don't.
Pants.
I know some places in Philly, they'll sell alcohol and they'll have the, like, lounge chairs.
Yep.
So that place, I think I would not be able to get a ticket for this because I guarantee it's sold out the second
those are the ones. The IMAX, the fancy joints like that, those are the ones that get sold out right away. My regular standard presentation, no 3D.
Sure.
Let me watch the movie.
I don't want 3D. I always want to watch it just standard 2D and nothing else.
I'm super good
and it's cheaper.
3D.
It's way cheaper.
Yeah.
It's like half the price.
Exactly. But anyway, with that being said, and Star Wars, well, Disney, according to reports right now, is that they just bought 21st Century Fox's catalog, Fox, FX. So basically, how that comes down creatively, though, they've got X-Men, Fantastic Four back in the Marvel Universe. They have the original Star Wars back now because they never Fox owned the very first Star Wars, Lock, Stock, and Barrel, as well as like the music. So every time they'd use music in the new ones,
they'd still have to pay a royalty
like
to
that,
Fox.
That beginning music, yes, they would have to utilize, like they'd pay them a little fee and all that. So now all that is back in the house.
Wow.
And I mean, apparently what people say is that's just so they can compete with the Netflix and Amazon, so they just have a lot more stuff, more creative content and IP at the end of the day. So that to me is what the deal is. And, you know, they're basically rounding up Simpsons is included in that.
Wow.
So they're basically taking control of like everything you love, whether it be Simpsons or Star Wars or Avatar or Planet of the Apes now they have, or Aliens was in that deal. Oh man, there's so much stuff in that deal on top of Disney stuff, Star Wars and Marvel, and now more Marvel. And I think the only thing Marvel doesn't have is She-Hulk.
I'm curious how this will play out with like Disney and Universal in Florida, for example. Like where Universal, the one thing they had was all the Marvel characters, and
they had the Simpsons characters,
exactly. And now it's like they can easily just build that into Disney, and
they could. But I guarantee you that the theme park rights are probably built in like probably 25 years, if not in perpetuity. Like that's such a huge investment for a company.
Because I know Disney took on Star Wars like right away when they
bought it.
Yeah.
But they already had a theme park deal in place with Star Wars because they had that simulator ride, that Star Tours forever. So I mean there was already a relationship there. I
forgot about that ride. That's a pretty cool ride too.
But yeah, man, I think at the end, and when I was in LA, this was a big conversation because there's also the Time Warner AT&T deal that's kind of getting looked at intensely by the government. It's just these companies are they're becoming more like they deliver, they create, and they distribute, and it's going to be digitally. And that's why this net neutrality thing is probably an interesting topic as well, because it's one of those things like, is the internet going to turn into like cable? Like, oh, here's the package for streaming video, here's the package for sending emails, here's the package for Facebook.
Yeah.
Are you going to have to pick and choose that? I don't know. It could be, just, crying wolf. Who knows? But
well, I'm curious how it's going to go with all the cable cutters and the whole streaming thing.
The fact that the people that own distribution
a while ago.
Yeah, people owning distribution and owning certain content. Like, why wouldn't Google or why wouldn't Comcast stream NBC shows better? Because they own NBC. Maybe they'll stream them for free. And everything else, you got to pay for that, or you know what I mean? Like it's,
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
That's a whole show in itself, right?
Yeah,
there.
we will see what happens, but yeah, that's huge to me. I mean, from a nerd standpoint, I'm like, yeah, X-Men's back in the market. Wolverine could fight next to Tony Stark and all this stuff in the movies. That's super cool. The Star Wars thing, everything's back home. I'm hoping at some point, now that it's all in one place, that we'll get like the original cuts of Star Wars, Empire, and Return of the Jedi, but I'm sure they'll sell us out on 4K Blu-ray, and just so they can.
The original cuts, not like the recuts from like 2002
those special editions
or whatever, where they added some of the CGI stuff.
People have been screaming for the originals forever. So now that they're all in-house, I bet you they might go back to that. So that's news, I think, for the most part.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, we might throw in some news on occasion with the show if it's hot on the streets,
especially
as the kids
say. Exactly. If it's like video related or movie related or editing related.
Again, this show is more video centric, where RAWtalk is going to be more photography based.
Yep.
Now we're going to move on to our college video projects. A little nervous to show some of this. Take a nice deep breath. Who wants to go first is the question.
How are they lined up?
Either or.
It doesn't matter to me. I did a lot of yapping. It's up to you. If you want me to do it, I'll do it. If you want to do it, I'll do it.
You can go first.
You want me to go first? You can go first. So I think... So the first project I'm going to show... So I went to the Art Institute of Philadelphia for college. And...
What video class was this done for, too?
These were multiple classes, keep in mind. So, like, this one in particular... I don't know, to be honest. It might have been an editing class. It might have been... It's been 20 years.
Is that what you wanted to do,
I graduated in 97,
Were
so
you
it's been
going
20 years.
mainly for the video editing?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I think we talked about it. Well, we talked about it last week about I was going to be in the music business.
Yeah.
I was going to be Puff Daddy.
Thing.
So done and done. Engineer. I'm not doing editing. Yeah. So all of this stuff was cut tape to tape. No digital Like I
real
said,
to real.
like I said, I did pull this one in particular. I definitely pulled in and plussed it in iMovie like 5-10 years later, just to show my friends so we could laugh at it. But
now this clip that you're about to show too also had all your clips actually had music, which we kind of
had to strip it all out
specifically.
So there's no sound on these, but this first one only had
you want Dan to play it while we're waiting?
Yeah.
So we can talk over.
So
it.
this is a PSA for fire safety, fire prevention.
Oh.
They were like, do a PSA for fire prevention, and I was like, great. So we'll just act in it. So.
Here it is.
That's my roommate in college. That's Joe. That's my homie. He also used to rap with me in our group. So, and then there's me. And, nothing's really changed. I just stay a complete idiot. Continuity
you just look
crushing.
You look the same, but way skinnier.
Well, yeah. I was probably like 113 pounds right there.
Your continuity is actually on point in all of these
my
videos.
My continuity is on point. And I'll tell you what, I didn't recut this. This was all tape to tape.
Pretty much straight out of.
Wow.
I
mean, just so it's so hard putting VHS, getting those cuts right.
So describe what music though you had playing, because I think it was perfect
called?
choice. Talking Heads.
Burning
Down the House.
Burning Down the House. Burning down the house.
Yeah, just pretend it's there, guys.
So I got fire there. He drops a cigarette.
It's a cigarette.
Smoke
or
alarm
a
goes
joint?
off. That was a cigarette. Yeah, that was a cigarette. And then And then the thing went off, and Fire Prevention PSA by Todd Wolf and Joe Veach, School Project 1997.
I was 10.
You're welcome. I'm pretty sure we shot that on like a Panasonic like DVX maybe.
Yeah.
Back then.
So, what? I noticed you starred a lot in your own videos, where I was the opposite. I was more like DP on almost all the films. So we had
I always
actors.
loved to be like, I was like, yeah, let's act. Well, I didn't care.
So who shot them though?
I set it up, and then I'm sure Joe.
Because some of them are panning and moving
shots. When I was on camera,
shots.
I'm sure Joe was doing it. Well, no, the panning stuff was probably me, like
just B-roll after the fact
doing
pickups.
it.
Yeah.
And I'm guaranteed me and Joe just flip back and forth. Like,
Just
all right,
you two.
You
That's
hit
it.
record while I act stupid, and then you
Gotcha.
do the same. And it was. I mean, I remember just laughing like as we were doing it. This is the dumbest thing ever, and I didn't care.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't care about this class, but it was a lot of fun. I mean,
It still looks pretty good though too. Like shot in 1997.
I was definitely a stickler for continuity.
Your continuity was
and
on fleek, man, for sure.
All that sort of thing. Like,
Yeah.
making sure the cuts matched and all that stuff. So.
All right, do you want to jump over to one of mine? And
Of
then we'll come
course
back
I
to
do.
yours?
I'm chomping at the bit.
All right, so this one that I did, Dan, don't play it just yet, but basically I'll preface it and say that I did have copyrighted music behind it, which did play throughout the whole thing.
That's what's super hot in the streets when you're in college.
Exactly.
You got to put the dopest songs under it.
Now I picked the worst song.
What song was it?
Daniel, is it Powder or whatever? The guy that sings Bad Day, like, you had a bad day.
Was it that song though?
Because it goes along with the skit that I'm about to show.
So in your mind, everybody sing.
Just
I had a bad day.
Yeah,
whatever
that
called.
song.
Yeah, all right. That sets the tone. So I should have given my song ahead of time.
And
too.
before we jump into that too, I do want to also say this was shot on a Bolex H16, which are the old hand cranking 16 millimeter film
you
cameras.
actually had to
hand crank each one, and we would get like
front door.
I can't remember exactly, but it was like 15 seconds because we had. I
had
think
one
you
of
would
those at
crank
home.
it, and you only get a certain amount of seconds for each take. And then what was cool about the Bolex cameras, and Dan, you can show a picture of that, of the actual camera, is that they had 3 different lenses on them. So you could literally switch them.
But you swiveled around it.
You would swivel around, yeah. And it was really neat because it came in 25 millimeter, 50 millimeter, and 75 millimeter. Oh. So you could easily just, let me get a 50 millimeter lens. Oh, let me get a 25 millimeter lens.
Wouldn't it be nice if our 5Ds were like that? Like,
yeah. Giant lenses. 200 to 400.
Got it, Jared. Good, put it on your shoulder.
Here's your package. It's this freaking big.
400 pounds.
There's the camera, and you can see the little thing in the front where you can easily switch between lenses. Then
you were so hipster.
It did have a viewfinder.
So hipster. Look at me, guys. I'm shooting film.
Dude, I didn't want to shoot
Kevin
film.
Smith Stevens.
They made us shoot film back in the day. So it was a cool learning tool, but let's roll the actual footage, and we can talk over that. And
so edgy.
Basically, it's just, you'll hear just Foley, and that's about it. It's a terrible piece.
The Foley's pretty good.
The Foley's decent. Because again, I wanted to do recording, so
that's wrong one. That's my next one.
This is going to be this one right here. Careful. Oh, look at that font choice.
Crushed it.
Careful what you wish for.
I love that glow you put behind it, too. Red on white always shows up so well in video. Great call.
It's actually what Jared uses all the time.
True.
We got a little bottle coming upstream.
It's my bottle.
Oh, what's that?
Why would you pick up a bottle out of it? Don't do that.
Dude, stupidest idea for this whole film.
Why? What are you doing?
Let me get this random bottle out of the water. I'm so thirsty.
Don't go too far. It's only 3x4. You don't have much room to go. Nice focus. Oh, look at that jump cut.
Dude, jump cuts galore, man. There should be some Foley in here, too. Hopefully the sound is actually playing. It is. Dan said it is.
Yeah,
That's
I think
good.
I can see
the levels.
The levels, yeah. Holy jeez.
We've got a genie all of a sudden. He just rubbed the bottle.
You just rubbed it
I'll
off.
give you 3 wishes.
How do you know 3? Did she say?
She does this.
Did she?
She does. I'll give you 3. Dan, can we get a picture and picture up, too, if possible?
I'm hungry. Here you go.
Here's a sandwich.
I'm gluten-free, though.
Bye.
Does that still count as a wish if you're gluten-free? Like, can I get a refund?
If it was for you, she'd be like, I can't grant your wishes.
Damn it.
Terrible choice. Gluten-free.
Well, he's intolerant.
Oh, I guess
apparently.
that's you.
Yeah.
He just threw up.
Yeah, man, I couldn't eat that.
So the whole premise of this video is that every wish that he gets granted.
That's
and
crazy.
It backfires on him.
I've never seen that before.
It's like the most original video idea ever.
Wishes never go bad in those shows.
This is probably like after I just watched like Shazam or something stupid. I was like, oh, this is a great idea.
Your color was off a little there. It was looking a little blue.
Oh, dude, the color is film. I had no idea what I was doing.
Oh.
We basically got this converted at NFL Films, the facility. We
Right,
had one of the
over
teachers
in
that
Jersey
worked there.
Yeah.
And we sent all the reels into them. They converted them into digital files.
They laughed the entire time.
And then we took them in Premiere CS2.
Hey, I'm back.
And cut them. Hey. I can't wait till this video's over. It's already way too long.
Give me some money. Bam. Look at that.
So the one thing I noticed after watching this back is that the awkward pausing and timing of each cut is terrible. The jump cuts are really bad.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely
Continuity
live in,
is
but I
not
feel
on
like we
point.
all do that early on. We live in shots
For
way
sure.
too long.
Yeah. Now, also...
And on school, you can't have real guns, obviously, I'm sure, like these projects.
Yeah. So the best thing we had was like a rubber band gun.
Yeah. I get it. By the way, I do like the Foley when he clicks his heels.
When he says, woohoo!
Yeah. He didn't chase him, though. I've been like, dude, you got a rubber band gun. I'm about to whoop you.
Dude, I think we shot this whole thing in like an hour, and we were just trying to get it done. We're like, just freaking do it. There was like a group of 5 of
I
us.
will say, if this took like an hour, this is pretty good.
I could be completely lying, but I hope it
think
only
you're
took
a
an hour.
liar. I think you're a liar.
So then he shows up, and there's a bum basically on the steps of one of the buildings at the at college.
Charlie Gluten. Yeah, man. Oh, there she is.
And he wants one last wish, the third and final wish. What's it going to be? I want a car.
I feel like this is Talking Dead. You have to explain all your bad story choices.
Oh, dude. Don't even get me started about Walking Dead, man.
Yay, I got me a car. Yay!
But all my wishes have went bad, so I should probably give it to somebody else.
Easy.
And I feel bad about this bum.
You are the Chris Hardwick of your stuff.
I'm trying to explain it because I feel like it's such a terrible edit and video.
I definitely got the genie when I was watching
Cool.
it, and then I assumed 3 wishes, and
I just think it drags. It's just very slow.
I mean, you could have been out of that right there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like this
And then
shot,
the car could be like
live on way too long.
out of that.
'Cause I also-
key in the ignition.
I also
car
felt
pulls out.
when I was editing this back in the day, like I felt like continuity. I had to literally show them like walking out of frame or like going to the other.
Which is super. I mean, if you
like I was so literal with
you
it.
read stuff about that, that's what they used to just be like super down with on like old movies.
Oh, so basically, yeah, that
Barely jumping at all.
she basically, yeah, that's that one.
Super
She-
duper
Wish goes
fast.
bad on her. She gets the car. She drives away, and boom, car freaking like blows up pretty much.
Good for her.
but,
Smart move.
Yeah, so that's how I was. I was very literal with my
Yeah.
cuts and my
Yeah.
edits and continuity. Like I took time. I had to actually wait until like the hand would be in the exact placement, even though the timing would be terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's the one thing you're always going to do early on, and it takes a while for you to realize like it doesn't have to be exact.
Yeah.
You can actually fool people all the time with close enough.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the tempo will be better. It'll be more entertaining. And that's just something that you have to learn over the course of editing for years and years and years.
The hardest part about shooting that whole thing is, again, we shot it on film with hand cranked Bolex, and it's
Did you have any speed issues, like the crank going faster than it should have?
I don't think so, because the Bolex, I think you can set it from like 8 frames a second all the way to like 60 something.
So no matter how fast you crank,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't affect the speed of the film.
From what I remember, I could be completely wrong, but
I mean, it looked.
I think we shot that at 30 frames a second.
It looked constant to me.
Yeah. It was 30 frames a second, and then we had to basically... The hardest part was trying to change the reels out in the middle of, like, daylights. We'd have, like, dark bags with us and trying to switch it out.
Or in the middle of your... when you're trying to make, like, money appear in the hand. I hope you didn't switch reels in between that.
Like, stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, we shot it all... Most of it was handheld, but some of it we were walking and running and gunning with obviously no gimbals or anything like that. Yeah. So the hardest part was that, just trying to frame your shot, actually measuring out the distance and everything, because you had a viewfinder like an SLR where you can actually see the film plane, but you still really couldn't tell what was like.
Did you have any playback option?
No playback option at all.
You go.
Nothing.
I hear you.
Yeah. So basically, hand crank, hit play, I guess, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then let it play out for 15 seconds, and that was your take. And then you had to crank it again, and then next shot, and crank it again. And so I probably definitely lied about the hour. It probably took way longer.
By the way,
like a 3-week project.
Guys, looking back on it, it took 4 weeks.
It took the entire year, actually. But that was for my film production
10-hour days. That was good, though, man.
But it was interesting because they taught us how to do film first, how to go back in the day, and we still got to edit digitally.
It really comes in handy now. So glad they taught you that.
But just to learn, like, I think stepping back and seeing how, like, proper exposure with a light meter and all of that, like, just trying to figure out that.
Yeah, well, and I would say when takes are that important, because film is limited, it teaches you being responsible enough to plan.
Yeah,
like you better plan that out because you have limited resources. Like nowadays, you can literally shoot until your cards are full, and then you just dump them and you shoot and shoot.
You don't really worry.
You don't have as much responsibility with that. So I definitely feel like something like a finite amount of takes is important. It kind of makes you focus on pre-production.
And I did notice, because I do have the original project files, that we only did about 2 takes each. Where
of course
these days it's almost like you do like 5 because you don't have to worry about it.
Oh, erase that one. That was terrible.
Yeah,
we'll just do it again.
Whatever. Yeah, keep going.
No, you probably said to yourself 2 takes each. That's all we got.
Yeah.
So congrats, man. It looks like garbage.
It looks like dog shit.
It looks awesome.
So that's 2 of them. We have actually a couple more.
So we each brought 3 in.
Yeah. I brought 2, you brought 3.
Oh, you brought in 2? Oh.
Because the other one was a little too raunchy for today. I was in college. I was a young kid. I didn't give a shit.
You made poor choices.
And I made I'm shocked that our teacher wasn't like, what the you know what I mean? So I felt I couldn't show that on here.
Right. Well, now I actually want to see it, so I'll
show you
see
privately.
That offline.
Yeah.
The next one I have is like a kung fu thing, and I think it's called The Battle at Parktown Gardens. Now, keep in mind, again, we shot this, I think, at DVX, Panasonic. I cut this again on the tape-to-tape machine, but then years later, I'm pretty sure I ingested it into iMovie, and then, because I saw effects on here, I'm like, I didn't edit this in iMovie then. And then I was like, oh, I tweaked it to make fun of it later and show my friends, like, remember when we did this? And now it's fancier in iMovie. So there are some stuff, but the original cut was all done, outside of the titles, I think, and like, fancy transitions. Everything else was cut on the tape-to-tape. So if you want to run this, Dan, this is us being like karate stars. And again, it features myself and my roommate and the girl that's
look at that intro.
And the girl that's in it is
Parktown.
The girl that's in this, she had all this stuff.
Look at the quality; it looks great.
Oh, it looks amazing. So she had like the gear, but he wanted to wear his hat backwards. But she had all this like these kimonos and like silky things that were like. So he's the bad guy. He kidnaps her, and moments later, and here comes the hero, which is me. What?
I love when you back up.
And all the sound effects, it's me going, huh?
What's this sword?
So then, we're off to establishing shot. That's where we live.
Nice water droplet. What are you doing? Like thrusting?
I'm thrusting, like looking for, and I see her, and then I jump. And I'm jumping from the top of the roof. I think that's what we were trying to say. Like I was on top of the roof.
Oh, I didn't
So
get
I'm on
that at
top
all.
of the roof, and boom, I come down.
Oh, I just thought you were in a tree.
No, I'm pretty sure. So I got him. I got him.
Let's pretend to fight.
He's got her. I'm gonna save her again. So we had no real plan. Like we were making this up as we were going. Like, all right, now you get away with her, and you go down these steps, and then we went to the parking garage downstairs.
Oh, and this part's funny.
And then, I don't know what he's going to do with her. Super creepy, I guess, now in retrospect. So I'm the same.
I'm the same person.
Idiot, so.
Look at you're like Ace Ventura type movement, dude.
That was my steez, Ace Ventura all day. So I was
very
definitely,
similar.
And we were about to fight. This was going to be amazing. And then,
Soon after,
wait for it, Parktown Security, which is where we live, Parktown. Told us we couldn't play. And so they literally were like, yeah, we see you guys on the cameras.
Damn.
You cannot do this. Like, you can't have swords. We're having, like, people that live here are complaining.
Wait, was that like a real sword?
Yes. They was all real. They're like, you
I thought it was like a play, fake sword.
She had all this stuff in her apartment.
Oh, man.
They're like, no, you cannot do this. We're like, can we just finish the fight scene? They're like, no. Because...
They're like, that's a real sword.
We lived in this apartment complex, so for whatever reason, our school was allowed to like rent rooms in this.
Okay.
But there were actual like professionals in this building as well, and they hated us. I mean,
because you're running around with real
swords. It's college
swords.
Kids with real swords, and the hallways will smell like random stuff.
Like skunk, right?
Like skunks all the time, and it's just like they hated us so bad.
Yeah.
So that was that, man. That was my that's probably my first and only kung fu movie. So
Dan, I do want to prepare
that.
you. We're going to switch to my other one in a minute, but I do want to preface that one as well. So the next one that I'm
what
about
happened,
to show,
Chris Hardwick?
The next one that's when I got into advanced film production because I realized like advanced
watch
film.
out,
drop the mic. No, but I went from film production 1 to 2, and then I was like, I actually kind of enjoy doing this after. Damn, missed the cue.
Super braggy. Oh, you totally missed my cue.
Totally missed the cue.
So braggy.
But so I went to advanced film, and that was cool because we started shooting with reds, which at the time, it was like, what the? So the school.
What year was this then?
This is 2010/11, like around that era. Then. And what they used to do is they used to rent it out from a old college professor that happened to also shoot red. And he would rent it to the school for like that group, and they would shoot for a month or so, and then they'd give it back. Well, the school ended up actually buying their own red Scarlet.
Got you.
Which
Instead
they
of
also
fattening his pockets.
Exactly. So they also bought one of the giant lenses. I forget which one it was. It was one of the crazy like 18 to 200 Canon lenses that are this big.
Yeah. And side note, all that equipment I used for my stuff, same thing. Rented it from the equipment cage.
You had to sign it out and all that shit. Yeah. Now, the cool thing is that the Red Scarlet actually came and brand new. We were the first people to touch it. So
your particular group. What?
Yeah. So we split up. This is a group of like 20. The whole class. We did this short film.
Yeah.
And the whole semester we worked on the short film from actually
what we're about to see. You worked on for a whole semester.
Correct.
This
now I'm only showing.
Better be really.
I'm
good.
only showing about a minute or two. Because it's a 10-minute short film.
Knock my socks off.
But the cool thing is that the whole semester we worked on from the story to the casting. We actually had a casting meeting and casted 2 actors, paid them and everything.
Wow.
Location scouting. We did.
How much you pay them?
I don't recall. The teacher paid them.
Was it SAG scale?
Probably not. So, and then we also did location scouting. We shot this in a real Hallmark store, real card store.
You pay them?
I don't think we paid them.
Now, when you say you paid people, where'd that money come from? You guys personally, or from like a budget?
I think there was a budget for the class. Yeah.
So
I think
your class got a budget to spend, which you guys paid for anyways.
Exactly.
So that's super interesting.
Yeah, it wasn't a ton, but I think there was a budget, and the teacher pretty much handled all of that. Obviously,
that's fascinating.
So we actually did location scouting. We ended up finding this. I think it was Ruth's Hallmark store, and we decided to film there, and she said we could do it as long as it's after hours. So we had to film overnight from like 2 a.m. to 6 a.m.
Was it set in the night? Was it set in the evening, or was it set during the day?
It was set at nighttime, but you couldn't really see the exterior anyway, so it didn't really matter.
Copy.
However, there's one nighttime scene in there. But anyway, it was cool because we did all of that, and then we also did, obviously, the execution of the video. And the only thing we didn't do is editing. We went all the way up to that final step, shot it. That was the last 2 weeks, and then the semester ended, and there's no second editing class or anything, which I thought was total bullshit.
Well, then what happened? Then did you
what
just decide to edit it?
Is basically nobody edited it, and it just kind of fell flat, and nothing got done. Now, one kid, a buddy named Corey, he actually edited it, put it on YouTube, and it's a very low resolution. So I didn't edit this cut. But it is the final cut, the only cut that we have from that class.
Wow.
Yeah, so we spent all that time, all that money, and nothing ever happened. And that apparently that's what happens in that class, is they don't have a second, like, Advanced Film 3, where it's the editing class.
So what's your role in this? Were you the
I was the
director?
DP.
The DP. You were the DP.
One of 3 camera operators.
Okay.
So I can't really say I was the DP, but I was one of the DPs.
So the out of focus shots,
all mine.
We'll give you the cues.
Definitely all mine.
Yeah. So all right.
But there's about 20 of us, so we'll roll like 2 minutes of it. There is dialogue, so I guess I won't.
Let's see this, man. Let's stop talking about it.
But it won't probably make any sense because it's a 10-minute short film. I'll post a link later on.
Look at this.
The display.
This is the Hallmark store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, I almost destroyed it.
Actually, looks pretty good.
There should be dialogue playing.
You know, Mark, I'm
Well, it
thinking
looks like
about
there
growing
is.
my hair out.
Yeah, it looks like,
Okay,
it looks
cool.
like there is.
I'm thinking maybe Princess
But these are
Leia
the 2 actors
buns.
we hired.
It looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. Yeah, this looks good.
You missed yet another Star
it
Wars
was shot
reference.
really well.
That's 2 more points.
I
for
mean,
me.
I just crushed it like I do
What
with
are you
everything.
requesting all for now?
Do you remember
It's Chelsea.
shooting this in particular?
Friday is our
No.
3-month
So you didn't even
anniversary,
shoot
so I'm taking her to the
I-
Olive Garden.
I'm giving props to somebody. You didn't shoot this.
I definitely
You
shot.
know, I couldn't help but notice that your
Majority
start
of it,
date
yeah.
Oh, it
and
is,
your
okay.
anniversary date are right around the same day.
Sure.
She likes little
I'm
gifts.
just saying I don't remember anything from college.
Well,
It looks good though.
My
more like
mind
little
is
surprises.
fried.
It looks a little
all the time.
Colors look a little washed
So you
out.
think
Well,
you can just come
again,
in here
keep in mind,
night after night and
This is the only
use
cut
us
on
for the
YouTube,
discount?
and it's like
You knew
360p.
what
Of course,
was.
of course. I'm just saying with it being red.
Yeah.
Well, I thought you were
probably
going to bring her in.
had
I haven't seen
a
Chelsea
little bit of
since,
latitude,
like,
but if he didn't, I'm sure.
Well, she
I
liked
bet
that
you
time.
he was
He was
editing.
probably like, whatever.
No, I mean
I wouldn't be surprised if he was
personality-wise.
editing proxies.
Well,
right,
once in
Because
gym class,
we
she
definitely
asked
couldn't
me
handle
if
the
I
red
was
footage.
bulimic,
Well,
and when I
you shot
said
in 4K?
no, she
Or
said maybe
was
I
5K?
should start
5K,
thinking about
really?
it.
Lucky.
Oh,
And what year was
she
this?
said she was kind of bitchy back
2011, I
then.
think.
Oh.
That's
lucky.
okay.
Yeah.
Nobody's like they were in middle school.
All right,
I'm
Dan, you
sure
can
she'd
come
feel
out of
bad about that
That's-
now.
That's the gist of
Yeah.
the actual video.
Yeah.
I mean, so I only want to show just
That's
a
not
clip.
embarrassing at all, though.
No,
See,
but
that's not really
but
any
that's
good.
What it comes down to is I went from film production 1 with the Foley stuff and the Bolex camera shooting with film
Yeah.
to advanced film doing the red and all
Well,
that
that's
really
definitely
cool
a step
stuff.
up from the genie in the Coke bottle.
Now, keep in mind, I had 2 other camera operators with me, and they were like film majors, loved. They were like the brains. I will definitely say
we're
I
gonna
like.
make it in this business.
They would like set up a lot of the shit, and I would just be like, record. No, I did more than that, but they framed a lot of it, and I did a lot of the technical camera stuff.
Can you help out with sound at all?
I didn't do sound.
No,
So I
surprising.
specifically wanted to be a part of the camera department because I already had radio production class, sound communication,
Oh,
all these
gotcha.
sound classes that I did a bunch of
Gotcha.
sound in. So I wanted to make sure I was doing, here's some of the behind the scenes pictures. That's actually us.
Why'd you wear a helmet? Was it
Oh, I forgot about that. I was actually,
look, you had playback.
I was being
This
casted.
is way too professional.
I was being casted for Dumb and Dumber that week, so I made sure to have my hair
You want
like
to hear
that.
the most annoying sound ever?
But this is the store.
Action!
This is us actually measuring out the distance for for focus,
Look at you
which I
guys.
probably got wrong.
Without a doubt. There's no doubt that happened.
We had a dolly set up and everything, man. It was
What?
great. We had dolly tracks. We had, I think the next picture might be me pushing.
See, you brought
Yeah.
you brought in like cooler stuff. I should have brought in cooler stuff.
Now again, this is like the first year where like this class really had their own
Yeah.
equipment and we could rent out all this cool stuff, like a freaking $50,000 red camera. But yeah, we shot 5K, man, and ended up looking like dog shit because it's like 360p now on YouTube.
Yeah, what does anybody have the raw footage?
So I went back about 2 years later to get the rest of the raw footage, and they wiped all the computers, and
course
none of
they
that
did.
is there anymore.
Yeah,
And I don't think any of my classmates had any of it. So
Well, it's nice that you actually have this.
yeah, so at least
So-
I have that. So guys, I will post. I'll see if I have permission to post because it's unlisted.
Oh, yeah,
to
yeah.
post the final video clip. It's a 10-minute short film. It's
Yeah.
really well
I
shot.
think I'll post mine on my Facebook.
And again, I wanted to show that other video, but it's just not.
Super
It's
inappropriate.
just super
I have to
inappropriate.
watch it. I have to watch it.
And that
now.
was like this. That was like the middle of the road
Yeah,
clip.
yeah,
Like we had
yeah.
the Bolex one, then we had that film, then we had the Red Scarlet one. So anyway, we have another one from you, the last one.
So this is the last one.
And then before you say that, sorry, we are getting ready to do Q&A. So if you guys have your questions ready, we'll get into that section in a couple minutes.
Yeah, I feel like we've covered everything because we did the intro, we did the news, we did all that stuff.
We're about an hour in.
All right, so we'll wrap this up. So this is basically a music video. If you've ever listened to RAWtalk, you've heard these guys make fun of me being in a rap group. So this is actually me and Joe, the guy that you've seen in everything.
Yeah.
This was him. This is what we came to school to do, to be in the record business, make rap records, XYZ. So this is our rap group. The group was called Job Corps.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but there's no sound because
you had to rip the music.
I wasn't sure, but I will put it on my Facebook.
Lyrics are a little inappropriate,
and probably I actually got to watch it again because I guarantee it's in front.
So it might not be.
So
on your Facebook.
Yeah, just roll this, Dan. But again, we shot this on like a DVX. I bet.
I actually think this was really well done.
And this is not retouched at all. This is all
straight
cut.
out of camera.
This is all cut on this tape to tape. So this is all tape to tape. That's my school right there.
Oh, okay.
And then this is the top of that building.
Is this when it was cool to show the skyline?
Every day and be like on top of buildings. That's City Hall.
Fila.
Way overexposed because with the sun behind us. Great move on that. And it was
so. This class though, wasn't it oh, look at you, dude! Look at that oversized '90s.
And you can see
shirt.
the lines of the tape at the bottom.
I see it. Yeah,
you see all that.
Yeah, actually, I think that kind of looks cool though.
Yeah, we did have a bounce board. I don't know why we didn't have a bounce that day, but. I mean,
that day looks like a pretty overcast day for all of us. So you guys actually lucked out because I'm sure it was tough to do anything.
And by the way, I'm crushing. I am crushing, lyrically crushing right now. But I mean, we won an award for this in this class. This was like music video.
So
class.
this is a class just for music.
Yeah,
videos.
because keep in mind, a lot of this in the courses were like music. It was music and video. So it was those things. One of these things that they were merging the two of them and.
Dude, that's way cooler than my freaking class. It
was really cool. And the fact that we used to perform and then we would, that was my dorm room. We used to perform and then we would do like shows and DJ and parties and we'd charge money. So, I mean, that's what we did in college, making some money.
Gotta make that money.
So when this class came up, I was like, well, of course we'll do this. Because we're going to be rap stars.
Yeah.
And we should
That's
totally
what you
have
actually
a
wanted
music
to do,
video.
though, right?
Well,
At the
I
time?
definitely wanted to be in the business from the creative side, whether I was actually rapping or making music.
Were you actually rapping as Intel at this point?
Yeah, that's me.
This is Intel, though.
That's Intel.
Because I think it was called Job Corps.
Yeah, not Intel with Optane memory, but actual Intel with hot lyrics. Yeah.
Intel with 2 L's.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. But I will say when I look at this, and if you hear it with the audio, the fact that I was able to sync all this up, tape to tape.
How, dude?
It took forever, and that's probably the only reason we won an award because they were like, "You're an asshole."
It's not like you have plural eyes where you press a button.
Why did you take this much time for this stupid class? And I was like,
man.
I couldn't do anything less. I couldn't, and I feel like that's when I realized I was super anal as an editor when I did this.
I really have no issues with this music video. I think it screams 90s, first of all.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I think it looks good, dude, for college kids doing it. This is like how the 90s music videos were back in the day.
If you look at MTV, this is basically what they almost all look like.
It's exactly like
I wish we would have had some light or some bounce elsewhere. I wish we would have made a different decision on that day.
Exposure-wise and everything, it's absolutely terrible. But but the rest of it,
I wish I still had that hat.
Oh, dude.
Crushes. That night went well, if I recall. Hope my wife doesn't watch this.
You're definitely making that up.
Yeah, I mean, but that was whenever I watch this, man, it just
brings back memories.
Debauchery.
So, did you also have like a whole semester to do something like this?
No, this was
like your final project type thing.
I think so. Now that I think about it, I think we probably had the semester to make it because we would literally shoot this. Like we'd shoot that one weekend, we'd shoot this part one weekend, that part the next weekend, and then I pulled stuff on like video from like parties we would have. That's why there's like the beer rips or the bong, the beer bong,
the homemade
and all that.
type videos. Yeah,
this is literally like in the middle of a party, hanging out with these girls. We're like, hey, let's just shoot something for the music video. Yeah, let's do it.
I'm surprised you didn't have like ballin' ass cars or something like that to show. But I guess you didn't actually have.
Yeah, no, the
cool
only
cars.
other. Yeah, and then so I mean that's pretty much the extent of it. It's.
I mean, it's just like you shoot music videos today. It's kind of just a bunch of different performance scenes.
It really is.
And then cut up with some
really was.
random footage.
It's man, it was
Intel,
The fact that I actually cut that on the tape-to-tape machine was terrible. It was terrible.
We did tape-to-tape for one of my classes for my TV broadcast or something like that. And this is like 2012, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
When like the 7D and the 5D Mark II were like that's what everyone's shooting on. You're editing Premiere or Final Cut. And
I wish I could have shot on something like that.
We were still editing tape-to-tape, reel-to-reel, for that entire semester. And then when I left that college about a year later, I heard they got rid of the entire reel-to-reel lab and put a whole digi console and everything.
They were just starting to teach Avid when I was like graduating.
Avid was still a big thing too when I was there. I didn't learn on Avid.
Yeah.
We were Premiere Pro based, I think, because my teacher used it. So
I'm pretty sure we shot that in like 96, 97, somewhere there. Probably 97.
Yeah, a lot of my stuff was 2010, 2011.
Yeah.
Some in 2012, and that's when I actually met Jared at that point. Yeah, man.
Anyway, I don't know, man. Well, I guess if you guys have any questions about
please
those
ask them.
videos or any, you know what? I think we should definitely read comments as well as to what they thought of these videos.
Jeez, man.
So
we are getting into the Q&A.
I'm definitely picking all of the bad comments about Steven's videos, and I'm sure he'll pick all the bad comments about his.
Oh man, this is there's a lot of freaking comments here.
Giuseppe Pipia.
Giuseppe?
Yeah, I think so. Did you guys film Fro Guides in log profile or just standard profile that were in camera?
So you guys shot that on the 5D Mark III?
The original one? The original one was a 60D.
Which one is he talking about? Just any
Fro Guides? He just said the guides. The first two, I mean, they were all Canons to a certain degree. And no. I probably had maybe a standard, maybe tweaked a little bit the color profile, but all those guides, I was trying to minimize my editing by any means possible. So then when we definitely got into the video guide and the editing guide, that's when Jaffe came on board.
Gotcha.
And I was like, I need this to look exactly the way it should end up being. I do not want to do any color, and he's so good at that, like, dialing it in so it looks really good. You always need to finesse things here and there every once in a while, but I did no log on this stuff at all.
Well, you didn't have the capability of doing log on the 60D.
Right.
I mean, you could only do C-log is only available on the 5D Mark IV, which is obviously just current.
Yeah.
Recent.
Oh, yeah. Not even in the Mark III though.
No. So the Mark III,
flat. I mean,
you guys shot neutral.
We used to shoot like. Sometimes in other stuff we would shoot flat. Like
neutral,
when we did streets, we shot flat.
So neutral is zero everything out. It's zero sharpening, zero color, zero everything. It's
but
just
to answer that question,
out.
Absolutely not. I was like, I do not want to color this stuff if I have to.
Yeah. Let's see. A lot of the guys, not embarrassing, just really boring.
That's one of the
probably
questions?
be less boring if we could hear the dialogue.
Oh well, yeah. It's one of those things that
I'm sure that's for. I mean, we had to rip all the music out. But again, guys, we'll link to these videos in probably the description once this is posted.
Yeah. I'll try to put them on my Facebook, I think.
Also,
that's probably the best place.
If you want to look up a question right now, I'll just explain what we're going to do with this final video. So what we're thinking about doing is taking down the live feed once this is done, or at least leaving it unlisted for maybe an hour. And then we are going to put it back up Sunday and get back in the habit of putting it up Sunday afternoons, say 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So the Q&A section, you will only be able to obviously chime in when we're live on Fridays at 12:30, but that's what we're going to be doing.
Yep. I mean, it was more so. It's more so just people complimenting that look like the Beastie Boys, stuff like that.
Yeah. So we have one person asking, I'm wanting to step up my audio without overwhelming myself. Without the Zoom, would the Zoom H1 be a good, or is there a better choice? I guess I meant to put choice.
Yeah.
The Zoom H1 is decent. You can actually put a line in on that, 8mm line in, which you can put a shotgun mic in, anything that's powered. It's not going to support like a broadcaster mic or something XLR that needs phantom power, but the Zoom H1 is a decent little cheap mic. I would say step up to something like the H4n, or they call it like the H4n Pro now or something like that. It's like $200, or the H5. Where you still have the XLR inputs, it's phantom powered, it's super clean preamp. You can also put the adapters on for the XY mics. I would suggest something like that, and it's as simple as just once you get the levels right, hit record, and for the most part, you're going to be halfway there at least. Gotcha. You'll have close enough audio to produce something that sounds good.
Somebody asked, what are these condenser mics? These are Rhodes.
Rode broadcaster mics. We love them. They're, I don't know, $300-$400, something like that. Yeah, and address microphones. They're great.
Let's see. The best camera is the one that you have. Yep, that's true. Let's see. I had another question before. Is there anything in place so we can buy items from the Fro factory so we can get it sooner? And I don't know if that's ever been considered. Could somebody come to here and buy? If they are local, come buy a T-shirt.
Well, the guy was going to come by to pick up a hoodie, but none of us were here that week.
How would they contact you, Dan?
Dan was saying that a guy was going to try and pick up a hoodie here.
Yeah. Shipping at fronosphoto.com. I guess you could, if you're local and you want to come and yell at Dan like Jared does, you could probably do that.
There's no guarantee. I would not guarantee that would happen, but let's just say there's a possibility that it could happen if you're very, very local. And just simply pick it up and not it'd be hard to try and hang out for an hour while we're trying to edit a million things. Because again, I have all the free time in the world again, so maybe we can just hang out all day and just do nothing.
Panhead had a question. Was Todd? Yes, that was me.
I think it looks just like you, just super, super young.
Yeah,
because you're just really old now.
I used to keep my hair. I used to keep my hair super short. I had that John B. look, beard, and all that stuff.
I wanted to see a Golden Fro Award with all you guys in tuxes. Dude, we should have pulled out the Golden Fro Award.
We could have. It's downstairs.
Oh, dude.
Can you guys recommend any good video editing program just starting out? I mean,
you've always been a big Final Cut guy.
If you're in the Mac now, obviously iMovie. If you own a Mac and you have iMovie, edit in iMovie until you graduate to Final Cut, because those projects now can transfer over to Final Cut. So that's a no-brainer to me.
Yep.
And I do know. Does Premiere have an entry level? Freemium cheap version of Premiere?
Elements or whatever. There's
That's right,
Adobe
Elements,
Elements, but I've personally never used it.
Right.
I think it borrows some of the features from Premiere, but it's very limited. I don't know.
I do like the idea of starting in something that you could graduate to, so old projects can graduate. So I would assume
nice.
Premiere Elements would maybe graduate to Premiere, and iMovie would graduate up to Final Cut.
And which is what they're doing right now anyway.
So I would say whatever you're going to start out with, whatever's cheap or free, I would maybe think long term, possibly, if these things are going to be important enough to graduate to a higher, so you can show them to your friends and make fun of them later on, because that's really important.
I will say, though, stock Premiere Pro, if you're just simply cutting video and you just want to cut, splice it together, export, it is pretty simple. It gets confusing with export settings because there's so many settings. It gets a little confusing with syncing if you're trying to sync anything up. But if you're literally just like a dad who just shot his daughter doing ballet or something, and you film the whole thing and you just want to straight cut, export, and then put it to YouTube, your family's private YouTube or something, it's not too hard once you load up the program. You just drag it in.
People were talking about hit film,
hit export.
Windows Movie Maker. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there. My biggest thing is just what do you graduate to at some point?
So Windows Movie Maker, I don't think there is a program to graduate from there. But I hate Windows Movie Maker because it's very limited and it's too simple to use, I think. Where iMovie, you have a lot more options, a lot more freedom to really kind of play with your files and do something different. Where there's not really a timeline in Windows Movie Maker, unless there is now, but years ago when I used to use it, there was really nothing.
Yeah. Scott Welcher said, just want to say thanks, Todd. Helped shoot Wiz Khalifa and Currency winning music video here in Atlanta after watching the guide to DSLR video.
Nice.
And then working on my first narrative short. Cool, man. Don't forget, 5% comes back to me. Every job you get. So thank you very much to that.
Would Stephen and Todd accept a job offer in the movie industry? I think for you, that's a yes, I would say.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's
kind of what you're going for.
I mean, I'm hopefully I'll be shooting this in March in Atlanta, and we'll go from there. But
it's definitely happening in Atlanta, right?
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. But it's one of those things. I feel like in any of these creative businesses, you're almost always going to be in a freelance situation to a certain degree. So, I mean, you take the work where you can get it, and hopefully you can tell the best story.
Someone says, Wolfpack Woodcraft says, I use Adobe Elements, and it works pretty good, but you don't have a fraction of the stuff you get in Adobe Pro.
Of course.
I figured.
And you might not need it.
Yeah.
You might not need it.
Yep.
If you're just literally cutting things back and forth, get a little bit of audio. That's all you need.
Thank you, Mr. Weiss. He says, keep it up, Stephen and Todd. You're doing a great job. Thank you. You inspired me to hack my 50D 3 years ago with Magic Lantern to shoot video. It opened my doors to many new jobs. You know what I never did? Magic Lantern. Ever.
I've never done it either.
I've shot with a friend's camera that had Magic Lantern on it, but I've never tested it out or tried it.
I think we did it on Streets. I think Jaffe hacked his Mark II. I think.
Was Magic Lantern out for the Mark II?
I could be a liar.
No, I think you're right. I think it was.
I feel like that did come about at that time.
Around that time.
Yeah. But I never did it personally. I was always nervous about it, like messing up my camera. But
well, the nice thing is that it only is on your card, so you're not really installing any firmware. It's just reading it off your card. I think it's pretty hard to brick your camera.
That's what I've heard, and you've told me that in the past. But I'm just like, I would love zebra lines, and I would love, See,
I want the pro audio and video features, but I don't care to like shoot like raw DNG video. You know what I mean? Then splice it up and put it together in post.
Yep.
That's a nightmare. Let's see what else we have here.
Can you recommend any good lenses for the D500? Is it for video? If it's for video, I always like something a little bit wide, something a little bit long.
Well, D500's crop body too, so we have to keep that in mind.
Oh.
I know Jared always recommends that Nikon 17 to 55 on a crop body. Video, it should be fine sharpness-wise. I'm a big fan of prime shooting video. If you know your scene and know what you're going to shoot, because it's the sharpest thing you'll get.
Yep.
And you can shoot like a fast prime, like a 105 1.4 or an 85 1.2 on Canon side. However, crop sensor-wise, I'd probably go with something like a 50 for a lot of run and gun stuff, or wider, obviously, like 24 or 35.
Yeah. Here's a good question. I have decent mics, Rode, yet my audio is still not as full as I want it. Should I look at software to edit audio levels? Here's where I think a lot of people get into
audio issues.
Yeah,
I agree.
Is not necessarily the editing, but sometimes just shooting without the mics close enough to their talent. Like, I have this in this rough cut review I'm about to do. The guy's got the camera, the mic mounted on the camera, which is...
It's a shotgun mic?
Yeah, it's the Rode Video Mic Pro, but it's across the room. So it's going to sound really roomy.
Really tinny, yeah.
So if it's really important to you, and you want to shoot far away, put it
Boom
on a broomstick and just boom that son of a gun
Yep.
over top and just get that mic as close as possible to your talent, and that should solve a lot of that. If it doesn't sound as like, what did he say? Like just as full as he wants to.
Yeah, I know when we were shooting that last film I showed you guys, it was called Cheap Date, actually, the one in the Hallmark store. Our sound guys were literally booming it to the point where they were like right above frame.
That's
like
where you
barely
should be.
Above.
That's where you should be.
And it sounded crisp,
Yep.
clean. It sounded great. So, yeah, if you have a Rode Video Mic Pro, try and get it off camera, maybe on an external recorder, or run a line in on your camera, very long cable.
Because those are cheap, those little extender cables.
Yeah, I would say no more than, 5 feet away. When you get past 5 feet, it gets very roomy, like you said. So even this microphone, if I'm talking right here, it's going to sound a lot
way
more
different.
roomy.
Oh, I noticed on the last podcast, I was doing something over here, and all of a sudden I was like, oh man, those are super.
The proximity effect, the closer you get,
Yep.
So now I will say software helps too. Putting in a limiter or a multi-band compressor or something like that. Like I use Adobe Audition to compress all of my audio.
Mm-hmm.
But the stuff you're hearing right now is literally clean audio coming right from for the live setup.
Yep.
When this gets posted later on, it usually gets compressed. And
get it as close as you can to your talent. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I think all jokes aside, how did Jerry convince you guys to come work for him? I think we kind of answered that last one.
Yeah, we kind of answered that last week, right?
Yeah. Anything else, guys? Anything major you wanna ask? Because I think we're probably at about.
We're gonna wrap it up.
15.
Yeah, we're about an hour 15 right now. And for those that don't know or just came into the live feed, Jared again is away. This is REELtalk. This is more the video-centric show, so try and ask more video-related questions. Save your other questions for RAWtalk next week. That's going to be back to normal, back to photo-related, photo-based show.
Yep.
We actually will have some photo critiques next week. We'll have your Morgan's Ballet.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what.
Shot.
Next week, the photos I brought this week were from her school performance. This weekend is her big Nutcracker performance.
So you'll have even more.
So I'll probably bring those because I'll actually have 4 opportunities to take photos for her because I'm seeing it 4 times.
Yeah.
and I never really know what's going to happen. So I learn the first couple shows, and I'm like, oh, I'm about to nail this. Boom, crush it. So I'll bring in the best of the best.
Someone's asking, where's Philip Bloom? Can we get him on REELtalk? We would love to have Philip Bloom on the show.
Where's Todd's soundboard? It's in my computer.
It's just not hooked up. Again, this is not RAWtalk. This is REELtalk. This is more of the rare look. Oh, they said Jared Polin is watching. By the way, we're Jared Polin watching right now. We're logged in under his account. We're watching.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm watching it right now, too.
Someone says,
yeah, you are.
Steven needs a haircut. Yes, I do.
How much RAM for editing 4K video without lag? That's a good question.
I would go these days at least 32.
Yeah.
I have 16 in my MacBook Pro, but you want a fast CPU, GPU. You want everything these days.
You can get away with 16 if you're doing short form. If you're doing stuff that's like less than 10 minutes. I always realize anytime I get over to like 10, 15 minutes and I'm not doing proxies, that's where mine kind of starts lagging a little bit. So I would probably, I
would say...
if you're buying brand new, I would say 32.
I would say GPU is probably more important than RAM when it comes to video editing, personally, with rendering times and exporting. But obviously, it's still important.
Yeah, it's a balancing act.
Yeah, if you kind of have to get everything these days, not just RAM.
Yep.
All right, I think we should wrap it up then, right? At this point,
I think so.
A lot of questions, a lot of good stuff. We'll be back next week for RAWtalk. Todd will be back in his chair.
I'll be way less serious. Next week.
Less serious.
I'll be interrupting constantly, and I would say we got to figure out next time we shoot REELtalk, like what could be the topic of discussion. So if you guys have any ideas, maybe tweet at the two of us, like, hey, I wish you guys would talk about this. I did get a couple. I think somebody was like, hey, talk about how you set up for this, how you shot X or something like that.
It'd be cool to like do a behind the scenes look of how we shoot certain videos here.
Yeah.
It's just always hard for me to do behind the scenes work because I'm so concerned on actually shooting the video and producing.
Sometimes when I'm around, I'll shoot like photos behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But we never go out of our way to do it. Maybe in the future on the next thing, I'll make a concerted effort just to take photos while we're doing it, and we could show kind of some shots and we could talk about how it was made to a certain degree.
Yeah.
If anybody cares.
If anyone cares. Now, I would suggest if you can't tweet us, if you don't have Twitter or something like that, try not to leave it in this live feed because I hate that this live chat pretty much gets
this
wiped.
live feed's going to disappear.
Yeah. So try and leave it on the final video feed or something. Facebook message us, whatever.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I think we'll leave it there.
I love it.
And we'll come back next week again with RAWtalk, same time, Friday, 12:30, unless something changes.
Yep.
But stay tuned.
I think that's going to be the holiday special.
That is going to be the holiday show. So Santa might come by again.
You're going to want to make sure you tune in for that. There'll probably be presents. Jared's probably going to give us something with his face on it.
I got to get you guys presents again. Are we going to get hockey jerseys again?
It's going to be something that he can promote and write off at the end of the year.
I used it for work purposes.
Yeah, my gifts are work purposes. Great, Jared. I always wanted a hockey jersey.
Because we both love sports so much.
When I start my new rap group about Frono's photo, I'll wear that. Anyway.
Oh, yeah, yours does say Intel on the back, doesn't it?
No, I think it says,
I
think it says 12,800. I have another jersey that says Intel on the back. That's dope.
Mine says, what does mine say on the back? Straight out of focus. Like, why would I wear that shirt around?
You're welcome.
Why would I wear that?
And my number on mine is 69. Like, why would I wear any of that? Like, it hangs in my office, but funny. Whatever.
Anyway, next week we'll be back.
Yep.
So, peace out, guys.
Bye.
Thank you for
Star
watching.
Wars.
Peace.